glad that you're here. We're going to talk a little bit about clubs this morning as we get rolling. We all know we're at the National Convention. Everybody should know that. If you don't, then we really need to have a talk later. One of the big things that I deal with at ARRL is clubs. Now, my name is Mike Walters. I'm W8ZY. I live in Connecticut, and I have an 8 call sign, which makes me stand out on the repeater like a sore thumb most of the time. But I deal with the section managers, and I deal with programs for clubs across the country. So I get lots of questions from clubs about how do we do this, how do we do that, how do we build a new program? So what makes a successful club is really one of the most challenging questions that I've ever dealt with. And I've been doing this kind of stuff for about 45 years. So successful clubs are really up to the club itself. So you have to decide, what kind of club do we want to be? What kind of club are we going to be? How are we going to work with folks? And the big question that comes up a lot is, how do clubs deal with new hams? Now, looking around this room here, I bet there's probably more than a few of you who are not new hams. You've been a ham for a little while, okay? New? Let's say within the last 5 years, okay? 65? Yeah, close. I can tell you when I got my license, Jimmy Carter was in office. So it's you know, there's a few of us around that have been doing this a while. But new guys coming in to ham clubs or ham radio, they face a lot of challenges. So I hear this from clubs all the time. Our club is diminishing. We're losing members. Our membership is falling off. COVID hit everybody hard. So if your club survived COVID and you're still functioning now as a club, believe me, you did something right. The same old members do everything. You ever heard of the 80-20 rule? Everybody. Oh yeah, 90-10 is most likely right. I have been in several ham clubs across the years in several states, and it's always the same. You have 50 guys on the roster or 100 guys on the roster, and when you go to do an event, you go to do field day, you have the same 8 or 10 people show up. And that is always a problem. Club meetings are boring. You go to a club meeting, here's a typical meeting for my group in Connecticut. We start the club meeting at 7:30 in the evening. We start out with the Pledge of Allegiance, something we do. Then we do the secretary's report, the treasurer's report, the committee reports, and for us that's generally, is the repeater still working, or our repeaters, are they still working? Yes or no? And then we go into what we call the MCOM report, because our club deals with the MCOM vehicle. And the guy who runs the MCOM vehicle talks for a few minutes. And then we say, is there any old business? Any new business? Okay, thanks for coming. A lot of times that's a club meeting for a lot of clubs. And new guys coming in, they come to a club meeting and they think, this was fun. Why the hell did I do this? They say we need to get new people involved. Yes, we do. As I said, I've been a ham since Jimmy Carter was in office. I got my license in 1977. And I've been hearing since then, we need to get more young people involved. And the same people have been saying that since 1977, and some of them have died off saying that. So we need to get more young people involved, okay? We're getting problems that guys or clubs that did ham fests are finding that putting a ham fest on has two problems. First of all, the cost of getting a facility, if you have to pay for a facility, is always going up. Insurance goes up, and you remember the 90-10 rule we were talking about? It's harder to get people to come out and work at a ham fest. It's harder to get volunteers. Ham fests and events like that are more and more challenging. And then the bottom one, I don't understand. A lot of new guys coming in. What's wrong with our club? I don't know. I don't understand what's wrong. It's the same old club we've always had. Okay. So, how many of you guys run VE sessions? Raise your hands. When a new ham gets their license, I'm going to ask you really seriously. When a new ham gets their license, you either email them or hand them a CSCE, shake their hand, congratulations, you got a new license, here's some information to take home with you, see ya. You lost them. 50% of those folks will never see the light of day. And we know that from statistics. And we know that there's a lot of issues that new hams have, and this relates to how does the club deal with a new ham. So, the most common thing that new hams say, I got my license, I don't know what to do. What do I do now? I went to a club meeting, nobody talked to me. I sat in the back, 3 or 4 old guys sat up front, bitched about what was on 40 meters last night, what was on 75, and we went home. They didn't even have coffee. Meeting sucked. I'm not going back there. I keep hearing a lot about stuff I don't understand. How do you do this stuff? You know, guys talk about, I talked to a group of guys on an island in the middle of nowhere that I've never heard of. What does all that mean? And the fun one is, I got on the repeater and nobody would talk to me. Or, even better yet, I got on the repeater and I said something wrong and got yelled at. Back in the old days, we used to call that a radio butt whipping. And it happens a lot on the repeaters, believe me. And then here's a good one. How do I make that FT8 thingy work? I keep hearing about it. How do I make that work? What do I do? And then the bottom one again, I don't understand. What's going on? How do I handle this stuff? What do I do? So I came up with an idea, and I call this the 3 steps for new hams. Now this is steps that clubs take. Not that the new ham takes, because the new ham's already got enough things going on. This is what clubs do with new hams, okay? You have new hams who get their license, they got a brand new shiny license. They might even figure out how to download a copy of it from the FCC, but now they know they have a call sign. Some of them go out to Amazon and spend $28 and get a Bayafong HT, and now they're on the air. What do they do now? What does the club do? First step, engage. The club reaches out to new hams. Now this is actually, engage at this point is not just new hams, but people who are interested in getting their license. And this is, at this point, I would say this is mostly people who, maybe people who don't have a license. Boy Scouts, CERT teams. How many of you guys live in an area where you have a CERT team and they have GMRS radios and they complain that they can't talk to anybody because they get behind a building and their radios don't work anymore? Happens all the time. Even though on the internet I've read that those little radios can talk 20 miles. It's on the internet, it must be true. Reach out and engage with those folks. Talk to them. Tell them about ham radio. I'm going to give you a little clue, guys. If you're doing a setup at an event, and your setup is I'm going to show kids about ham radio. And your whole setup is, here's how you send your name in Morse code. Don't even bother. You're wasting your time. A 10-year-old will hear Morse code and he'll think it's great. Saw it on the movies. 2 minutes later, he's doing something else. He's forgotten all about it. You have got to get their attention in something that they're interested in. So engage with people. The next step, you have to educate. Now this is, if you've engaged with a group that doesn't have their license, this is get them into a class. Hold a class. How many clubs hold training classes? You get people together, whether you do it on a 3-day weekend or you do it over a 6-week period, however you do your class, get them trained, get them licensed, okay? Once they're licensed, the next step is empower. Now, I know these are all kind of reused words, but empower means get them on the air. Get them doing something. Get them talking on the radio. You guys know that you can go to the ARRL website, and under awards, there's a certificate that you can fill out online, print it out, really nice looking certificate for your first contact. Now, you get somebody who's a new ham, they've invested $28 and got a radio, they made their first contact, and now they get a certificate presented to them at a club meeting or at an event. That means you got their attention. They're interested. Keep them interested, okay? Now, what have you got? A brand new ham who just got their license, you just got them on the air. What's your next step? Back to the top. Engage again. Now this means, what are they interested in? Our study showed that about half of the hams who come into ham radio are interested in MCOM. Most of them don't know what it is, but they're interested in it. So show them what it is. A lot of them are interested in contesting. A lot of them want to do DX. A lot of them want to do digital modes. You can talk about bouncing signals off the moon. You can talk about all kinds of stuff. Show them all of those things. If you have a club that has the opportunity to show somebody, this is what contesting looks like. How many weekends are there out there that there's not a contest of some sort? Not too many of them, quite frankly. I have a buddy back in Connecticut who is a dedicated contester. His son was going to get married. He told him, you can get married on this weekend or on this weekend. Other than that, I can't be there. Some people are dedicated. So get them to see what things are. Show them what contesting is. If they're interested in contesting, get them, back up, get them back to educate. Show them how to do it. Some of them may actually love it. Some of them may be interested in MCOM. If they're interested in MCOM, there's lots of training programs you can get them involved in. You can get them involved in ARRL, you can get them into AUXCOM, you can do all kinds of stuff. There are a variety of things, but the trick is helping them along. We used to call them Elmers. I have been told now that for younger folks, the term Elmer is sexist. Okay. I don't look like a garden gnome for nothing. I'm an old fart. But we have to get those folks involved. Show them what these things are. If you want to be a mentor, show them. Not all of them are going to love contesting. Not all of them are going to love DX. Some of them are never going to go past technician. A lot of them may be interested in something you're not interested in. Find somebody else to mentor them, but keep them interested. That cycle continues to go, whether you stop or not. when you stop working with them, when you stop talking to them, when you stop bringing them into the fold, they start to lose interest. And that's when you start losing people. Okay? Ideas on what you can do. We all know what POTA is. Parks on the Air. God knows we've heard enough about it lately. I love it myself. It's a lot of fun. SOTA. Do you know what SOTA is? Summits on the Air. That means climbing a hill. I ain't doing that. No. I grew up in West Virginia where everything was uphill. Sorry. Do you know what DOTA is? DDOTA. Dunkin' Donuts on the Air. Okay? If you don't live in the part of the country that's lucky enough to have Dunkin' Donuts, you know, it might be, up north it might be Tim Hortons on the air. I don't care. Yeah, get what you need. WPLOTA. Walmart parking lots on the air. Any place you can get hams together and talk on the radio, talk on an event is a good idea. You can hold classes. How many of your clubs hold technician classes? Great. How many of you hold general classes? A lot of clubs say, oh, we're doing our job, we're getting new technicians in. That's great. Take those technicians and hold a new class and get their general license. Believe me, teaching a technician class is not a heck of a lot more, or teaching a general class is not a heck of a lot more complicated than teaching a technician class. It's the same material, just a little more of it. Get those folks upgraded to HF so they can start doing a lot of this stuff. Little one coming up, Field Day. Okay? Field Day has for 45 years been my favorite event of the year. Now I'll admit I'm not a contester, but I get on Field Day and I have a good time. If you can't find somebody to talk to on Field Day, there's something wrong with your antenna. So Field Day is a great opportunity. If you have new hams, if you have folks who haven't been on the air, they've been licensed for 6 months, they're technicians, bring them to Field Day. Get them on the air. Start them out logging, and then move them over to the seat. Get them on the air. If you have a CW Ops class where you're teaching people to run CW, get them on during Field Day. There's a lot of folks on Field Day that are running 8, 9 words a minute. You'll have a lot of fun. Contest is always a good one. If your club does contesting, or if you have folks in the club that are contesters, these are ideas that, you know, here let me show you how this works. Every contest is a little bit different. Some of them have different rules, different exchanges. Show them how it works. Events. You guys set up at county fairs, state fairs, opportunities, things like that. Those are always a great place to show. Don't do this. Set up a booth with a table, some old brochures, a banner that says Podunk Hollow Radio Club, and when somebody comes to the booth, this is what they see. George, can you hear me? I'm on 40 meters right now. You're not showing them anything. You got to talk to people. Yeah, you're showing them your butt. That's all. Believe me, with me, that's a big one. But I tell people, if you're going to set up at an event like that, HF is great if you can pull it off. Put up a 2-meter radio. Put the table in the back. Step out front. When people come walking by, you're standing right there to talk to them. Don't hide behind the table. Now, I had one guy tell me, he said, well, everybody in our club needs to sit down. Well, sit down, but be out front where you can talk to people. It's all about how you present yourself. And then my favorite is races. Now, this is not races, this is races. I was the SEC in Connecticut for 7 years. One of the big events that we did every year was we did a bicycle. It wasn't really a race, it was a ride across Connecticut. It turned out we trained more net control operators, more field operators in a weekend than we did most of the rest of the year, because it gave us an opportunity when it wasn't life or death information, but it gave us a great opportunity to show folks how to do things, how to get involved, okay? And then, of course, VE sessions. I will make a little plug for something here, if you guys don't mind. If you're doing VE sessions, go over in Building 2, the same building that the ARRL booth is in, and find the exam tools guys. We do our VE sessions for my club and at headquarters now. We do it all digital. So folks come in to take a test, they can do it on an iPad, they can do it on a phone, they can do it. There's no paperwork, there's no score, those blue plastic templates that everybody's had for years. All of that stuff is gone. I love it. It is truly, and the trick to it is, and I've been a VE since 1994, I have seen VE sessions with 30 or 40 people, and it would take 8 or 10 VEs just to handle all the paperwork. With the new system, 3 VEs can run 40 people through a testing session. So look into it. But anyway, that's something else. Now, here's something, and I kind of thought it was an interesting idea. This is something we're doing in Connecticut now. We have a club that used to do a ham fest. They're typical of many clubs. They're not doing it anymore because it costs too much to get a building, it costs too much to get the insurance, and they can't get enough volunteers. My club is going to start doing, and we're scheduling now, a mobile car show. Now, people say, well, you're doing a car show, you're going to get a bunch of hot rods and stuff. That's not what I want. We want you to bring your mobile and show us how you installed it. If you're like me, you buy a new car and you sit in the driver's seat and everything in front of you is either plastic or electronic, and you can't figure out where to put the radio, how to get an antenna on there. We want you to show us how your mobile installation works. Now, I'm always one of those guys that says drill a hole in the roof. Trust me, for years, I have a couple of times bought a brand new car, within a week, drilled a 3/4 inch hole in the roof, pop an NMO mount in that puppy and put an antenna on it. Scares my wife to death. I screwed up this time. I bought a Cherokee that has what they call the panoramic sunroof. The entire roof, there's no place to drill a hole. Even in the back, it's all the mechanism that powers the sunroof and everything. So, another challenge. Anyway, this is something that clubs are looking at. It's fairly simple to do. You don't have all the vendors to deal with. You basically get a parking lot, and a half a dozen people can run something like this. This is an idea, and it gets hams out, because if you tell the hams, come and show us your mobile installation, a lot of those guys are going to show up and say, look what I did. Look how I did this. Sierra, how did you mount the antenna on your car?
I'm lucky to have a 2-inch strip of metal behind my panoramic sunroof, and I've got 3 NMO holes in that little space.
She says that about the roof. That's not the antenna I'm talking about. She put a ball mount on the side fender of her car. That takes nerve, believe me. Drilling a hole in the roof is one thing, putting a ball mount on the fender is a whole different world.
It's not paid for yet either.
That's it. Okay, so what are we going to take this thing from? Questions. Have you learned anything? I have my lovely assistant here, Ray, now, is going to pass out a little piece of paper. It's not a survey. This is something that you guys to take home. How many of you guys, and I know nobody in this room is old enough to have done it, been to the doctor and they hand you that clipboard that says, fill out this thing, and have you ever had gallstones, you know, high blood pressure, all those, and they've got a whole list of things that, well, my wife is a nurse. So when I designed this little flyer, I kind of modeled it after that. She took great exception to it, but this is a health check for your club. Now, it's not a thing that says you should be doing all of these things, because not all clubs will. But this is an opportunity just to see some ideas. This is something that your club can be doing if you want. You have to put a little effort into it. You have to get some of the guys who are not in the 90-10 rule to come and participate. But this is an idea that says, here's something that your club can look at, okay? On the back of it is also links that will show you where affiliated clubs can be found, and you can get information on that. This is something that I've been handing this out at clubs now for about a year, or 2 years, and a lot of folks think this is well useful. Questions?
Is it available online?
I can send it to you, Bill.
I have a copy.
Yep.
In other words, can the club find it?
I'm going to make that available online. Yep.
This is a great check.
I think that comes in very handy. Other questions? Anybody out there else awake this morning? Sir.
One thing I found effective in growing our club was a welcome letter.
Yep.
Welcome to ham radio once they've taken their license. And the club newsletter has to be like what we did, what we're going to do, where you got to be.
Thank you. Welcome newsletters. Get somebody interested. Send them a copy of the last newsletter. You get brand new hams, you get them at a ham fest, or get them at a VE session, send them a copy of the latest newsletter. My club even goes so far as to say, you passed one of our VE sessions, we're going to make you a member of our club with no dues for the next year. We give you a 1-year membership.
Mike, the other thing you can do is at those VE sessions, whether it's in person, have a little folder that's got information on the nets, a little information on the club, a little information on who you can call, a list of Elmers that are say, hey, give me a call, whatever. Hand that to them, and then shuffle them right into a club meeting.
Invite them to the next club meeting, give them information, show them this is what we're doing. Please include the little thing that you can get that says join the ARRL. We wouldn't pass that up, but we would love to have new guys out there that are saying, we got our ham license and the club said, okay, thanks for getting your ham license, congratulations. Now, here's the club, come and join. Come and be a part of us. And we hope to combat those guys that say, I went to a club meeting and nobody was very friendly, nobody talked to me, nobody said hello. Yes, sir.
Say the same thing that you're saying, just differently. Nobody in this room got their amateur radio license because they wanted to go and argue about these collabs or whatever. They wanted to have fun with a hobby.
That's it.
So go there and have fun. Make fun available to people, and they will come. But it takes work. And back to your idea of the 820, you still got to do the work.
Yep. The trick to ham radio, and I've been telling people this for years, the trick to ham radio is if it ain't fun, people aren't going to do it. You know, if I wanted a hobby that wasn't fun, I'd spend time with my wife gardening. You know, I know it is, but she'll never watch it. Yes, sir.
Obviously, I guess the answer is yes, we would have told us to go to the booth, but I'm part of the Anchorage Amateur Radio Club.
Right.
And do the remote VE sessions for them. So I'm very familiar with exam tools.
Mm-hmm.
that I have to use these pieces of paper and that blue thing you mentioned, I just, no, I'm not doing it.
No, you can, when, I will tell you, I've been a VE for, as I said, since 1994, and I work with Maria Soma, who heads up the VEC at ARRL. Maria would love for more clubs to be doing digital sessions. And if you, and I don't want this to be a commercial for exam tools, but it's very simple. Once you get started, the biggest challenge is all of your VEs that are going to be doing it have to be registered with exam tools. The biggest challenge that I've had with getting my VEs registered with exam tools is that you have to download an official copy of your license from the FCC. I have a couple of guys who are in their late 70s and early 80s. Not that that should be an issue, but getting an official copy of their license was a challenge. But other than that, I love it. Everything is done, everything's digital. In the end, you hit one button, you have the whole report, you upload it, you're done. Yes, sir, in the back. Thank you. Yeah, it's essential that they don't feel like they're lost, because this hobby lends itself to a lot of guys talking in a language that folks outside the hobby don't understand. We talk about a lot of interesting stuff, but a lot of people don't understand what we're saying. Okay, Bill?
Can you make this presentation available for a section manager?
I can. I can. Yep. Okay. Anything else? Thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming out.